The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Dueling Comedians, where two comedians clash to see whose comedy kills and who gets killed.
Figuratively speaking, of course.
All this to determine who claims the coveted Dueling Comedians trophy. This is Dueling Comedians.
Hey everybody, it's me, Tony V, and I'm a professional nightclub entertainer, otherwise known as a comedian. And I say to you, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, good middle of the night, whenever it is you're going to be listening or watching this. We're trying something new at the UPN studios here at Studio 21 for your podcast pleasure. We're doing a little thing called, we're calling it Dueling Comedians. And it's become very popular of late where comedians pit themselves against each other because, you know, it's not good enough for us to be challenged by hundreds of people in the audience. We need to do battle with each other. I'll back up a little bit, and I am assuming, because you listen to UPN, that you know what a duel is. It's pitting two people up against each other and for an ultimate winner of in our case, the coveted trophy. And you know it's a coveted trophy because it says right on it, coveted trophy. So when you get one of these, if you do, it will be coveted by the many.
Hey, Tony.
Yes, that is my sidekick, Laugh Track Larry.
You see the camera there? You can hold up the coveted trophy.
Right here, to this camera right there. Can you see that coveted trophy? Yeah.
It's a beauty.
It's almost crystal-like. Almost crystal-like, but way more durable, if you will. So every week I'm going to invite friends, people I know, people I don't know, comedians that are coming in town, and we will shoot the breeze for a little bit, right? And cover all kinds of topics from current events. We'll probably get a little bit political on them because you can't help but do that sometime. But the whole gist of the podcast is to be funny against each other. And we decided that we'd do it in duel fashion because it's a tradition, as I say, goes back to medieval times. And let's be honest, it probably goes back farther than that. I'm sure a couple of cavemen had a dispute over a woolly mammoth and ended up chucking rocks at each other to see who won the tusk or what have you, But it was very popular to, for disputes back in the day. It started with, this is my favorite part of anything, where people would slap each other with a glove to signify they wanted to duel with them. And, I don't know if you've been out in the free market, but in some places to get slapped by a glove, you need to pay extra for that. But that's a story for another time. And what the ultimate goal is to see whose material holds up and whose doesn't. And if you need to reference duels, I think the most famous one was Aaron Burr and not George Hamilton. That was the guy from the 80s. It was Alexander Hamilton, who actually ended up losing the duel. Yet he got the musical. It's a complex world. I've said it once, I've said it a million times. You would think the spoils go to the victor and it would have been Burr on Broadway, but apparently not. But you know how it works. And it started, I'm going back, as I say, to rocks. Then they probably used pointed sticks to have at each other. And then back in, ye old times, they used swords. And then somewhere around the 17th century, they started using pistols. And you say, why did they jump to pistols? Because they were invented. That's why. And if humankind has done anything, they've found a way to use the newest technology to do bodily harm to another human being. So I'm sure in another 20, 30 years, we'll be having laser duels at some point, or at least shiny objects thrown at each other from afar. So that's going to be the general point. We'll start up in January, and you'll be able to find out on the UPN when we will be on the air. I don't even know if it's on the air. Laugh Track Larry, this is my buddy Laugh Track Larry again.
Hey. Yeah.
Do we say on the air?
I think we can say anything we want.
It goes out there in the ether, and then it goes through some wires.
I think on the Facebook and the YouTube.
Yeah, on the YouTubes and the Facebooks and the Instagrams or what have you.
The podcasts.
Wherever you find podcasts are pervade. You will be able to find us. And so we're going to do this pretty weekly, and you'll get to know some of the local comedians and national comedians and stop by. And a lot of you I know me from my stand-up or some of the small roles in movies I've had or TV. And some of you don't know me at all. Doesn't matter. You will know everything you need to know by tuning in to Dueling Comedians. And as I say, we will, here's what we'll do. We'll talk to each other. You'll get to know the guy or gal or, I'm hoping we don't get down to ventriloquists at any point, but you never know on this show.
I think you could be the mime.
I could probably be the mime. Maybe we should like stock the early shows with mimes and ventriloquists and whatnot to give me a fair advantage. But at some point during the show, as we're talking, right, there'll be some hilarity. We'll do some current event jokes and talk about what's going on during the days that surround the podcast. And then somebody gets to hit this button, which is on this fine humidor, which is also stocked with cigars. I don't come cheap, but actually pretty cheap. But we'll hit this button right here, and we will hear, which can only mean one of two things. Somebody is to be sodomized against their will, or it's time for the challenge. And then we will start telling jokes, and they will be punctuated by Laugh Track Larry. With such, do we have one of your things booted up there?
LOL. That means laugh out loud.
That is a ringing endorsement right there. So when you hear that, you know, because Larry doesn't give up the laughs easy, my friends. I'm just telling you.
I have a keen sense of humor.
Of course you do.
I know funny.
You know funny. And that's why you're going to be the judge. You're the ultimate judge of this.
I am the judge and jury.
Are you up to that task?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's, I could beat this to death and tell you exactly what it is, but I just told you. There's going to be me, other comedians. We have swag. We got this beautiful coffee mug, right? Which you hit this little lever and you can get whatever level you want. If you want a little coffee, you stop it. If you don't, you get more.
There's the camera again. You could show off that beautiful mug.
That's a lovely mug right there. It's got a handle and an extra tank in case you need some extra Joe. And then there'll be topics in the little bucket right here, right? I know you expected a little Muppet to jump out of there, but no. That's just going to be where our suggestions are. So you tune in. You'll figure it out when we start up there in next year in January. And it'll be roughly every week. It'll be pretty obvious how it works out. If you have any complaints, we don't want to hear them. If you love the show, please do tell us about it. And until then, we'll see you.
And opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.